A disappointing draw, a disappointing result again, unfortunately. 2-2 against Brighton. And I wish I could have said we could have won that. I think ultimately it was a fair result. 2-2 is, I don't think we deserve to lose. I don't think they deserve to win. The balance of the chances and overall, even the XG was about similar. And I think a point was probably the fair result. It felt frustrating, of course, because it feels like the goals are, and there's wastefulness and there's mistakes and all that kind of stuff. But you know me, I try and look at the bigger picture always. I think where we are right now is this. I think we are about as good as Brighton. I feel like we are that sort of our level right now until the quality. It's just we are not better than them because we don't have the quality to be better than them right now. That's how I feel about it. You don't have to agree or not, but I think the team is very much in transition. And look, if you're going to come here, by the way, and look for some catastrophizing and intense blowdowns, I'm not going to give you that because I don't really feel that way after that game. I don't think it was a good performance, but I don't think it was a terrible performance. I think there were good aspects and poor aspects, but ultimately it led to an okay... the result, yeah, fair. Things to improve on, things to get better. And frustrating, yeah. It was frustrating. But I think it does. My reaction, once again, comes down to my expectations on the season. And I've sort of tried to shut out the noise and tried to realign my head. And you don't have to agree with this or you don't have to like it. But I do feel we are sort of a top... We're aiming for the top 5. That's our level. We are about as good as these people, these teams around us. We're not better than Brighton. We're not better than Forest. We're not better than Newcastle. We're not better than Villa right now. We are around that level, and 2 of them are going to get the top 5, and some of them aren't. And I feel we are the victim of some mistakes, of course, in squad planning, but also the fact that, Rodri's not there. And it is what it is. And we have fallen off. And I'm amazed if anyone is surprised that we've fallen off at this point, then what have you not been paying attention? Like have you not been paying attention? Like, I think this ship absolutely capsized, over the winter months, and it got terrible. We lost a whole bunch of games. But I think we've slowly steadied the ship, and 3 months ago we lose this game 3-1, 4-1. We all know that. So I'm judging City on who I think the City side is right now. We are not a great side anymore. And I think I know that. And I can sit there and go, he's just not good enough. And he's not good enough either. And he's not good enough. And what's he doing? And they would be true, but I would also be just saying the same thing that we've been saying for the past few months. We know some of these players aren't good enough. We know that we have to get better. We know that some of these are just potential. We know that we're trying to integrate new tactics. And we know that Guardiola's going to have to be ruthless and move on from it. Even with a full squad, the results wouldn't have been better. I'm sorry, mate. I think that's absolute fucking nonsense, mate. Are you telling me without a fit John Stones, Nathan Ake, Rodri, Oscar Bob, and all these players, you're telling me the results wouldn't have been better? Come on, man. This is what I mean about head loss. That's catastrophizing. Look, we probably challenge him for the title if Rodri's available all season because he's that good. I think, of all due respect, I think that's a stupid comment. Like, if anyone really thinks that we wouldn't be doing much better without Rodri and all these people, like, I think some of you need to calm down because I think you're just emotional and overreacting. That's what I would say. I'm not telling you things are great right now. I'm not going to tell you that. But I think this idea that everything's terrible and that everything is about to fall out, I think some of you can't accept that we are in transition and don't know how to deal with it. You don't have to like it, but I think expecting us to walk teams... I didn't expect us... None of us expected us to... Rodri wouldn't fix anything. Wow. Wow. Jesus Christ, that is the dumbest... So what is it? Is Rodri the best player in the world or is he not? If you really think the best player in the world does not drastically change our side, really? Really? Come on, man. I don't understand why people have lost their heads. Now playing down Rodri's ability as well. That is called head loss, man. That is genuinely $1,000,000,000. Like, if Rodri's in that team, we win today. Hands down. Are you forgetting just how good Rodri is? Rodri takes us from 55% possession to 65%, which creates more control. We still have issues, of course, but we're miles better. Miles better with Rodri. Like, he's that good. we'd be ahead of Arsenal. We'd be level with Arsenal with Rodri playing. And I'm not talking about Rodri as the fixer and all things point to that. But what I'm saying is we are clearly just not where we are right now. The amount of people who moan about some of these players in quality but also think we should be higher is what I'm on about. I will talk about the negatives today. I'll talk about the negatives. It's one of those things where, like, their individual mistakes are costing us. Like the sloppy back passes, from Guardiola at one point, loose in possession, not releasing the ball to play Haaland through. Doku was particularly guilty of that towards the end. We can't control the game the same genius level that we used to because I think Rodri not being there is a part of it. We haven't got a genius playmaker anymore, like Kevin De Bruyne, because he's just not there at all. I think this is our issue. We are just not as good as we used to be. We've not replaced our world-class right back in Kyle Walker of a few years back. Rico's just not that level defensively. We have mistakes in us with Guardiola. He needs to book up his games. Our midfield without Rodri and De Bruyne essentially, and Foden has lost his form, is not as good. And I think our mistakes as well, our issues are that Savinho and Doku, and I don't know how far either of these will go, but right now neither of them are killers. So we are wasteful in terms of on the ball every now and then, not quite as good. And I don't think the midfield's a mess, by the way. I think the midfield is better than it was 2 months ago because we reasonably kept up with Brighton at times. It's just an okay midfield. It's an okay midfield. And it's just not a great one anymore. And I've been saying that, by the way. The amount of people are like, put Nunes in midfield. This is what I'm on about. Like, it's mad. Everyone goes on about Nunes in midfield is not changing anything. It's just quality, technically. We are not as technically good as we used to. We need to sign the equivalent of Bernardo Silva when we signed him from Monaco. We need to sign that level player, a young genius. We need to sign them. We need creativity in midfield, and we need a killer out wide. I would honestly buy a winger who's got 25, 20 goals in him. That's what I think. Ultimately, if Savinho can finish like Mahrez, we win that. If Rodri's on the pitch, we win that. So that is my issue. It's a slight lack of quality. I am not panicking because I think we'll change that for next season. I actually do believe we'll change it. I think it's very obvious to see. There are positives. I think our pressing is absolutely... I don't think we need 6 world-class players, by the way. I don't think we do. I hand on heart believe some of the young players will be better next season. I think Rodri changes that. I think Rodri being in the team makes Foden better. I don't know what's happened to Foden, but I think he does. I think Foden will be better next season. I think we'll sign a Wirtz type, someone like that. Rodri back, Foden better form. Second season, hopefully boost for Kusanov, Marmoush, Nico Gonzalez. Nico Gonzalez will be twice the player alongside Rodri, by the way, because Rodri is that good. Bring in Cambiasso, miles better. So Cambiasso, Wirtz, a winger. I think that would change our team massively if it was a goal-scoring winger. That's how I feel. But the positives for me, I thought Marmoush looks really good. I like Marmoush. I think he was really involved in everything. I think he's sharp. I think he's vibrant. A great goal. He won the penalty, of course, as well. The guy is clearly a killer. I'm really excited for Marmoush. I think Kusanov, again, was fine today. Unlucky with the own goal. I think maybe he could have been tighter on the attacker anyway. A little bit sloppy there. And I think that ultimately, if I go through the team, there's just a sort of lack of quality. I shared a slightly divisive opinion on Doku. I'll show you what it is. I shared this opinion on Doku. Did anyone years ago play Football Manager where you could see the potential out of 200? Does anyone get that reference point? Championship Manager, Football Manager. They have an ability out of 200. Does that make sense to anyone? Because if you looked at like the behind the scenes stuff, they have an ability out of 200, and they had to have a -1 or a -2 ability, which was like -2 meant they could get like 180 plus because he could be elite level player. This is a really weird thing, but this is where my head goes when I'm talking about Doku, because I remember signing players on Football Manager, and I remember signing players where I'd be like, oh, this guy is amazing. And he was like 20 years old and he'd already have really good stats. Lots of 15s and 16s, out of 20. Like, a lot of that. And then 2 years later, they'd never be any better. And 3 years later, they'd never be any better. They just stayed that level. Because some players in real life do just sort of peak reasonably quickly and sort of stay there. My worry is that Doku is exactly who he is. I accept he has improved a little bit since he joined. But I don't know if Doku's ever going to get that much better. I feel like... Oh, the sound's really low. Sorry about that. The sound's about to change. I don't know why it was so low. Apologies. It changed automatically from switching over. But I just feel like Doku is always going to be Jeremy Doku. I feel like Jeremy Doku is this footballer who's exactly who he is, who has this freakish skill talent. And I think he's a smart, aggressive, likeable player. But I'm not sure he'll ever be 15 assists or 15 goals. He just doesn't feel it. I might be wrong there. I might be wrong. The same could potentially be said of Savinho. I'm a little bit more up on Savinho because I think Savinho's got a slightly more diverse game, and I think he hasn't got one particularly aggressive skill set you lean in. Savinho cannot finish from the right side, by the way. I went back and watched the Savinho comp from when he was at Girona, by the way, and most of his goals came from the left wing, striking across the goal like Sane with his left foot into the bottom. He's a lot better at striking the ball across. Whereas I think on the right-hand side, Savinho, he tries to open his body up and he can't finish that way. They need to address that. Savinho cannot finish from that side, that right-hand side. Sorry, by the way, I missed your super chat, Brooks. Apologies, mate. Thank you so much for the super chat. Brooks said the Pep folks out need to relax. We are going to get what we deserve. Onwards together. I agree, my friend. We'll get what we deserve. And if it's not Champions League football, so be it. But I think giving up on Pep Guardiola... What I will say, by the way, on the Pep Guardiola stuff is like if some of you treat the people close to you the same way that you treat Guardiola, you're going to be lonely and sad and miserable because some of you are so aggressively and so willing to give up to someone who's giving you that much joy for 9 years that you're willing to, after a bad season, which Guardiola's come out and said, I've had a shocker this year. I should have invested. I've lent on too many experienced players maybe. And we know about his personal issues. If you don't give him a chance to fix that, man, if you take that same attitude into your personal life, you're going to really struggle. It's a small life lesson for you. I think people absolutely deserve a chance to have a bad season, especially given the love that they've given us. I'm not saying he's had a good season. I'm just trying to say that some of you need to be a little bit fairer in life because it's awful how willing some of you are just to throw Guardiola under the bus. He's had a bad season, absolutely. Absolutely. But just to give up on him. Like that. Like, come on, man. Like, some of you would kill your own mother. You know, you'd throw your own mother. You'd sell him if they gave you some, you know, if they were manager of Manchester City and you had a bad year. Like, that's a bad analogy. But you know what I'm going about. You throw your own mum under the bus if they let you down for a... It's just not a way to live. It's not a way to live. And I think it's really harsh. And I think it is harsh. I think, like, I'm not saying he's done well, but I just think you've got real expectations of life and people, some of you. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has a bad season. And maybe he's a bit too close to some of these players. I agree with that, but I think that's also on the board. I think it's all, like, it's just, I don't know. Some of you would, the point, I made the analogy bad. Some would sell your own mother for success. And that's a saying, you know, I think that people would do. And, like, the tactics are not a problem. Like I don't think the tactics are a problem. Like, what was wrong with the tactics today? Did we create chances? Yes. Were the players wasteful? Yes. We created chances. Fine. We had more possession than them. Their chances came from individual mistakes. Like, everyone goes on about the chances. I think it's entirely down to quality. It's not tactics that are the problem. It's like, it's one of those things where, like, to me, it's clearly a quality issue. Like, I know that I think Pep has been controlling the board, and I think the board need to fucking toughen up a little bit. And he's already admitted that he made the mistake by saying I turned down a rebuild. The board, I'm sorry, have to sort of pull rank a little bit and go, these guys aren't good enough right now. Move on. What exactly is the problem tactically? Go on. Genuinely, I will admit if I'm wrong, but what was the tactical problem? And be precise. Don't just say tactics are the problem. Be precise, man. And don't say Bernardo Silva shouldn't be starting. That is not tactics. That's a personnel issue. Tell me the actual exact tactical problems. Because I want to know what they are. Too many back passes. What does that even mean? What does that actually mean? Like, too many back passes. As if, like, all these great sides don't keep the ball and pass it backwards. We got forward plenty of times today. We've always played possession. Too many people are forward now. So there's too many back passes and there's too many bodies forward. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I feel like, so it's clearly quality. It's mad because it's like, you need to accept, guys, we are just not that good right now. as Guardiola keeps telling you, this side is not that good. Too many players are injury prone. Too many players have... The issues for me are away from the pitch directly. They could have done something better, but they're clearly a planning problem. We've clearly held on to the treble far too long. Some of these players are injury prone. Some of these players should have been let go a little bit earlier. It's clearly a design issue. And injuries, older players, we've hung on to an era far too long. We're accepting that now. I actually think we've realised. I think the penny's dropped. I think we're a lot more aggressive in the press already. I think we've got a slightly younger team. And I think generally we've made mistakes away from the pitch. And now we've got... I'm not rattled, mate. I'm just passionate. I'm not attacking my own fan base. I love, with all due respect, I don't have to like everyone in our fan base either, you know? We're all just people, you know? Like, I'm bored of people giving up on a club legend, the greatest to ever do it for Man City, because you've had a bad season. Like, come on, man. Allow him. Like, give him a second year. Like, to just calling Guardiola a fraud that he needs to go. Like, some of you are just callous. It's just callous. It's ungrateful. And I will always defend for decency and for sensible. Like, we're going about Khaldoon being a genius and all this kind of stuff, and all this, and we've had the greatest period of any team in the history of English football, which is a fact. But then we also think they're all useless. The arrogance, honestly, to go on and like just not trust this board at this point. Like, why? They've given us more joy than we could ever possibly imagine. If you told me as a child that City would get 100 points and win 4 leagues in a row and win a treble, I would have laughed in your face. I didn't think we'd ever be that good. Like I didn't think we ever would. And yet I've seen things I didn't know were ever possible. And yet some of you guys want to throw all that out the bin because of one bad year. Let them make a mistake. And if they don't fix it, fair enough. But like, the point I'm making is we've dug ourselves into a hole, yes. But I think we're making chances to get there. Like, look, I'm arguing with people here, but I think I'm just sort of tired of everyone catastrophizing after a bad result. Look, I'm going to go through that team right now, and I'll go for him. I'll go through the team right now on screen. Ortega, by the way, has to be better. Ortega's not good enough. I've accepted that right now. I'm disappointed. I thought Ortega, when he first joined, showed a bit of quality, but I don't think he's been able to step up to the quality of the City's level. He's got to do better with a free kick. I think Kusanov's going to be excellent. I really like him. I think Diaz is fine. He's more than good enough for Man City. I think Rico is a squad player. He's never going to be good enough. We need a right back, a full back. We're going to sign one. Everyone knows we're going to sign one. We tried to sign Cambiasso in the summer. We're going to sign one. So I see the right back problem. I'm not worried about it because we'll fix it. We're going to sign someone. Vardiol needs to cut out the mistakes. Vardiol needs competition. Could be O'Reilly. Could be Ake, but he needs competition. But at Vardiol, I'm not doubting his quality. Gundogan, I thought was decent today, by the way, actually. I thought he was all right. I actually think Nico Gonzalez is going to be a good player as well. I think he is no better or no worse than when Rodri joined. I remember Plodri. I remember everyone moaning about him. But I am confident and comfortable with who Nico Gonzalez is. And I think put a great player alongside him, put more experience alongside him, and he'll improve, and get better. I know he will. Savinho is young, and he needs to find his end product. He needs to be a little bit more precise. I thought he had a bit of a stinker in front of goal, but I think Savinho's had the exact sort of season I'd expect from a 20-year-old winger. Some really good highs, some stupid lows. But I like him. I think he'll be fine. 20 years old. Let's see where he goes. Marmoush is another good signing. I think Marmoush is going to be really, really good. I think he's a cracking player, and I've got a lot of time for him. I think he's got a lot of ability, and I liked him in the 10 role today. Doku, I've just ranted about him. I think Doku's a talented footballer. I want to see him get better. Maybe an overlapping fullback will help him there at that point. I actually agree on that. That could be a thing. But yeah, and Haaland is Haaland. So I think the issues are for me, get a quality right back in, get Rodri in, get a number 10, maybe a goal-scoring winger. And at that point, we'll see where we're going. But I don't really buy into this idea that everything's terrible and that this team... Diaz is finished. Come on, man. Jesus Christ. Are we really doing this? Diaz is finished. By the way, Noah Khalif says we were way better with Yaya, Nasri, Kompany, Tevez, Mario, Edin, Silva, De Jong. By the way, if you want to actually, I think some of you got really rose-tinted glasses, by the way. Go watch Man City beat United 6-1. I actually watched it back recently. We're not as good as you think we were, by the way. Like, they controlled the game. It was a relatively even game until they collapsed. I think some of you really do have... They definitely would have probably beat us, Noah. But I think you're underestimating just what Guardiola's changed this team. I think Yeah. Anyway, no, I appreciate your opinion, mate. But I don't get your point anyway. By the way, what's the point? An old team might have beat this team. Well, yeah, all our previous teams would have beat this team under Guardiola too. But the point is, it's because we're in transition. That's my argument, and I don't think it's worth crying over it. You know, not saying you are, mate, but I think that's where we're at. I'm just passionate, mate. I'm a passionate guy. I'm not emotional, but I just like. I have smelt the coffee, mate. And that's the point is I don't think some of you guys have smelt the coffee. That's what I'm arguing here. I have absolutely woke up and smelled the coffee. The coffee for me is it's on the boil still. Like, we are clearly aware that we've left it too late. And we are clearly making vast signs to change the structure of the side. Viana is coming in and he's going to be aggressive and we're going to spend money. And that is my point. And I have no respect for anyone saying sack Pep, by the way. Absolutely not. I have smelt the coffee. I think some of you guys are absolutely refusing to see that the club are aware. And I think you're refusing to accept that City are just a pretty decent team at the better right now. That's it. And that's where we're at right now. And we're not out of the Champions League. I'll show you where we are in the Champions League. Of course we're not out of the Champions League. This is the current table. We're currently sat in 5th. Brighton and Bournemouth are playing right now. They could jump ahead of us. They'd have to win by more than 2 goals. Bournemouth, who are they playing? Are they playing right now? They're playing Brentford. Come on, Brentford. Brentford could do us a favour here today. We've got to get top 5. Get top 5. We're always, by the way, and if we get there, we're always going to scrape there. That's the feel. But like, I also think some of you are acting like Brighton are bums, man, or Forest are bums. Forest are a horrible side to play against. Forest gave Arsenal, Liverpool tough games as well. They got 4 points against Arsenal, didn't they? I think they did. Forest. And also, Brighton had won 6 in a row before this and gave us trouble when we were bloody at our very best. So, let's keep Guardiola take us over 10 more years. I don't get why are you being sarcastic, mate? Like, I appreciate the super chat, but no one's saying that. Like, no one is saying that. Like, I am saying the opposite. I'm saying move them on. Like, I don't know why you're acting like I'm saying that, mate. No one is saying that. Not a single person is saying keep any of these players for 10 years. I'm saying the rebuild has started, and until I'm sure that rebuild is ended, I am not going to lose any sleep because we're in transition. I've accepted transition. And some of you guys haven't. That's what my argument was. Noah, I love you, mate. I appreciate the support. It's just difference of opinions. But that is where we're at. Guys, thanks for watching this. We'll be okay. The transition is carrying on. We've been beating... That's what I'm saying, Steve. We've been... You're proving my point. Sweet says, Steve, we've been beating Forest and Brighton always. I know. But we're not as good now, mate. Because we all accept that Gundogan's fallen off a cliff. Bernardo's fallen off a cliff. All our centre-backs are injured other than Diaz. De Bruyne's fallen off a cliff. Foden's like... Rodri's not available. So I can't expect us to beat them. We all know we're not as good right now. I've accepted that. I'm not going to lose sleep over Jordan against Brighton because I think we're as good as Brighton. I don't think we're better. Guys, thanks for watching. Love you all loads. Calm down. Maybe I need to calm down. Who knows? Bye-bye, up the Blues.